Before we start, I want to say that only 1% of you are subscribed. Please subscribe because when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will post a special video for you. Dr. Alex Reed stepped onto the surface of Gaia 6, his heart pounding with the thrill of the unknown. Around him, the other members of the research team were equally absorbed in setting up their equipment and scanning the environment. The landscape was breathtaking, a vivid tapestry of flora unlike anything on Earth, with towering trees that glowed faintly under the planet's twin suns. "Looks like a painter's dream," remarked Captain Lucas Ford, the mission commander, as he joined Alex at the overlook. Lucas was a seasoned astronaut, his face marked with lines of experience and eyes that had seen worlds beyond. Alex nodded, pulling out his exobiology kit, and potentially a biologist's paradise. "Let's hope the locals are as friendly as the scenery." As if summoned by his words, a group of beings emerged from the forest. They were tall, slender, and had an ethereal quality, their skin shimmering subtly. The team froze, instinctively understanding the gravity of this moment. First contact. Lucas stepped forward, his voice steady. "Hello, we come in peace. We are from Earth." One of the aliens, who stood slightly ahead of the others, tilted her head. "Earth," she echoed in a melodious voice, the words strange yet beautiful on her tongue. Alex approached slowly, hands open and visible. "Yes, we're explorers. I'm Alex, and this is Lucas. We're here to learn, not to harm." "I am Beauty," she said, gesturing to herself and then to her companions. "Welcome, Alex of Earth, Lucas of Earth. What do you seek on Gaia 6? "We seek knowledge, understanding of your world and its life," Alex replied, his voice filled with genuine curiosity. "We have much to learn from each other." Lucas nodded in agreement. "We have technologies and knowledge from our world that might benefit yours as well. This could be the beginning of a great friendship between our peoples." Beauty smiled, a gesture that seemed to light up her face. "Come, let's show you our home. You must have many questions." As they walked together into the heart of the glowing forest, Alex and Lucas exchanged a look of excitement. This was why they had traveled across the stars. This moment of connection, of shared curiosity and potential. "Your world is very different from ours," Lucas observed, looking around. "How do you manage coexistence?" Beauty supplied, understanding his incomplete question. "Our world is one of balance. We live with Gaia 6, not just on it. Everything is interconnected." Alex was taking notes on a digital pad, his mind racing with questions about their ecosystem, their social structure, and especially their biology, which seemed uniquely adapted to their environment. As they reached a clearing, Beauty gestured to the structures that blended almost seamlessly with the nature around them. "This is where we live. You are welcome to study our ways, as long as you respect our home." "We will," Alex assured her. "We have protocols to prevent any harm to your world. Our mission is to observe and learn, not interfere." Beauty nodded, her gaze lingering on Alex with a palpable sense of trust. "Then let us begin. What would you like to know first?" Lucas chuckled lightly, the sound mixing with the soft alien winds. "Honestly, we don't even know where to start. Everything is so different here." "Then let us start with the simple things," Beauty suggested, her eyes twinkling with a hint of amusement. "Like how we eat, how we communicate with the flora and fauna, how you reproduce." Alex blurted out, immediately regretting his forwardness. Beauty paused, her expression unreadable for a moment, then laughed, a clear, melodious sound. "Yes, that too. It seems you humans are as curious as we are." As they walked, Alex's mind swirled with the possibilities of what they might learn from this incredible first contact, not just about Gaia 6, but about themselves and the vast, unexplored cosmos beyond. The following morning, Alex, accompanied by Dr. Henry Clark, the team's sociologist, prepared to delve deeper into Gaian society. As they gathered their equipment, Beauty arrived, her curiosity seemingly unabated. "Good morning, Alex, Henry," she greeted them warmly. "I thought about your questions last night. Today, I want to show you something special about our culture." Henry, a keen observer of alien interactions, smiled. "We're all ears, Beauty. Lead the way." As they followed Beauty through the dense underbrush, the forest opened up into a large clearing where a group of Gaians were assembled, engaged in what appeared to be a communal activity involving intricate patterns of movement and light. "What are they doing?" Alex asked, fascinated by the display. "This is a form of communication for us," Beauty explained. "We call it Speak. It combines light and movement to convey complex ideas and emotions." Henry, taking notes, was intrigued. Is this a common form of expression here? Yes, very common. Would you like to try it? Beauty suggested, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Alex laughed nervously. I might need a bit of practice first. As the morning progressed, Beauty guided them through various aspects of Gaian life, explaining their methods of sustenance which involved symbiotic relationships with the local flora. Alex, deeply interested in their biology, asked, how do these relationships work? Do you harvest the plants? No, we nurture them, and they nurture us. It's a partnership, Beauty explained. Come, I'll show you. She led them to a plant with vibrant, bioluminescent leaves. Placing her hand gently on it, the plant responded by glowing brighter. We communicate needs. It provides us with nutrients through the air. Remarkable, Henry murmured, his mind racing with the socio-cultural implications of such interactions. Their discussion was suddenly interrupted by Beauty's serious tone. There is something else I wish to understand, Alex. Henry, you spoke of human emotions yesterday, especially love. What is it exactly? Alex exchanged a look with Henry before replying. Love can be many things, but at its core, it's a deep affection and connection between beings. It's about caring for someone else perhaps more than yourself. Is it necessary for your survival? Beauty asked, genuinely puzzled. Not for survival, Henry interjected, but it greatly enriches our lives. I see, Beauty mused. And this love, does it change you? It can, Alex said thoughtfully. It often makes us better than we are alone. The afternoon was spent in more discussions and demonstrations. Beauty was particularly taken by stories of Earth's diverse cultures and expressions of love and community. As the suns began to set, casting a golden light over the land, Beauty stopped and turned to them. Your world sounds beautiful and complex. And this love, I would like to understand it more. Not just the idea, but the feeling. Henry smiled gently, recognizing the profound nature of her request. Understanding feelings isn't easy, even for us. It's something that you experience rather than learn about. I want to experience it, Beauty said, her voice full of a yearning that resonated with both men. Alex nodded, feeling the weight of her request. We can share more about it, show you our expressions and interactions. Maybe through them, you'll find the answers you're looking for. Thank you, Alex. Henry, Beauty said as they began their walk back to the camp. Your openness is a gift. I am eager to learn more from you about this love and other human experiences. As the stars began to twinkle in the twilight sky of Gaia 6, the trio walked back in contemplative silence, each lost in thoughts of cultural bridges and the Moro's lessons. Under the silvery light of Gaia 6's twin moons, Alex and his colleague Dr. John Carter, an anthropologist, joined Beauty at the communal center where they had agreed to discuss human cultural rituals, specifically focusing on the concepts of marriage and partnership. Good evening, Beauty. John greeted warmly as they settled around a low, glowing table designed by the Gaians. Good evening, John, Alex, Beauty replied, her tone eager. I have been thinking about our last discussions, and I find your rituals fascinating. Alex smiled, pulling out a few holographic images from Earth. We thought we'd show you some examples of human weddings, ceremonies that celebrate the bond between partners. As the images flickered into view, showing scenes from various traditional weddings around the world, Beauty leaned in, her eyes wide with fascination. These ceremonies, they are beautiful. Do they symbolize the beginning of reproduction, or is there more? John chuckled softly. Much more. Weddings are about formalizing a commitment, a promise to support and stay with one another. It's both a personal and social acknowledgement of a relationship. In many cultures, it's also about love, Alex added, picking up from where John left off. Love is a deep affection and caring for another person, which often leads to long-term partnerships. Beauty absorbed their explanations. Then, somewhat hesitantly, she posed a question that caught them off guard. Wait, people reproduce this way? Can I try it too? John and Alex exchanged a brief, uncertain look before Alex responded. Reproduction, or having children, is part of it for many, but it's not just about that. It involves complex emotions and a shared life. Yes, I understand the commitment, Beauty said, nodding thoughtfully. But this reproduction, it's done out of love and choice? Exactly, John replied. It's a choice driven by love, not just a biological need. And it's always with consent from both individuals involved. Beauty seemed to ponder this for a moment. And if I wanted to understand this further, to experience this aspect of your culture, what would that entail? The question was delicate, and both men took a moment to consider their answers carefully. Well, Alex began, choosing his words with care. It's about mutual feeling and agreement. It's not something to be entered into lightly or without deep understanding. Of course, Beauty agreed. I wish to understand, not to mimic thoughtlessly. Your bonds, they are sacred to you. John smiled at her use of the word, sacred. Yes, they are. They're based on trust, understanding, and respecting one another's feelings and boundaries. The conversation shifted then as Alex and John explained more about human relationships, touching on aspects of friendship, parental bonds, and other forms of human connections. As you see, human relationships are quite diverse, Alex concluded as the meeting drew to a close. And full of depth, Beauty added, clearly moved. Thank you for sharing this with me. I feel there is much to learn from how you connect with each other. As they walked back to their quarters, John remarked quietly to Alex, she's genuinely curious about everything, isn't she? It's like she's absorbing every word we say. Alex nodded thoughtfully. Yes, and I think we're learning just as much from her. This exchange, it's about more than just sharing knowledge. It's about building understanding across worlds. John agreed, and they continued on, each lost in thoughts about the bridges they were building with every conversation. The next day, Alex arranged for a more informal gathering to further explore human emotional and physical intimacy, inviting Dr. Michael Turner, a psychologist specializing in emotional intelligence and interpersonal dynamics. They met Beauty at a tranquil spot near a flowing stream, where the sound of water created a soothing backdrop. Hello, Beauty, Michael greeted as they settled on the soft, vibrant grasses of Gaia 6. Alex tells me you're interested in understanding more about human emotions and relationships. Yes, Michael. I'm curious about how these feelings influence your actions and decisions, Beauty replied, her voice tinged with genuine intrigue. Well, Alex began, emotions can be powerful motivators. They affect how we connect with others, how we choose partners, and even how we interact in those relationships. Michael nodded, pulling out a small device. Let's start with something simple. This is a music player, and we'll use it to play some songs that evoke different emotions. It might help you understand the variety of feelings involved. As the melodies filled the air, each song brought with it a different mood, happiness, sadness, excitement. Beauty listened intently, occasionally asking them to explain the context of the lyrics or the emotions they might provoke in a human listener. This song makes me feel peaceful, Beauty remarked after a particularly serene tune ended. That's good, Michael said. Music can be a great way to explore feelings. It can also help people connect, sharing how a song makes them feel. Alex watched Beauty as she absorbed the experience. Music is just one way we express and understand our emotions. Another way is through physical touch. Beauty looked puzzled. Physical touch? Yes, Alex continued, like a handshake, a hug, or even a kiss. These are all ways humans show feelings without words. Would you show me? Beauty asked, her tone earnest. Of course, Michael said, demonstrating a gentle handshake first, which Beauty mimicked with Alex. See, this is a common greeting among friends and colleagues, Alex explained. Michael then showed a friendly hug, which Beauty attempted with Alex, her movements cautious yet curious. This feels nice, she said, smiling slightly. It's warm. It is, Alex agreed, smiling back. And it's a way to show trust and affection. The discussion turned to more complex interactions, like empathy and love, which were harder for Beauty to grasp. So these emotions, they can lead to a deeper connection called love, she asked. Yes, Michael responded. Love can involve deep affection, care, trust, and attraction. It's one of the strongest bonds between people. I want to understand this love, Beauty said thoughtfully. Not just the idea of it, but how it feels. Alex and Michael exchanged a look, aware of the complexity of her request. Understanding love involves understanding both joy and pain, Alex said. It's not always easy. I am willing to learn, Beauty affirmed, her determination clear. The rest of the afternoon was spent discussing different types of love, familial, platonic, and romantic. Each type was nuanced, involving layers of emotions and commitments. As they wrapped up their session, Michael suggested, maybe tomorrow we could look at some human art and literature that explores these themes. It could give you another perspective on our emotional world. That would be wonderful, Beauty replied. Thank you, Alex, Michael. Every day I learn something new from you. As they walked back, Alex felt a sense of accomplishment but also a profound responsibility. They were not just sharing knowledge with Beauty, but potentially shaping how two very different cultures could understand and relate to each other in the future. Early the next morning, Dr. Simon Bradley, an expert in human cultural expressions and communications, joined Alex to meet with Beauty by the shores of a luminescent lake that reflected Gaia's brilliant skies. "Good morning, Beauty," Simon greeted as they approached her sitting quietly on a smooth stone. "Alex tells me you've been exploring human emotions through music and conversation." "Yes, Simon," Beauty responded, her gaze reflecting the calm waters. "And I am eager to continue learning, especially about the expressions you mentioned, art and literature. Today, we thought we'd explore human touch and its significance in expressing and experiencing emotions," Alex added, laying out a blanket on the grass for them to sit. Beauty nodded, her attention focused. "I'm ready to learn." Simon began by explaining the concept of touch in human culture. Touch can convey a range of emotions: comfort, love, reassurance. It's a fundamental part of human interaction. "To start," Alex said, taking a small, smooth stone from his pocket, "let's try something simple. This is a stone, but imagine it's a warm hand. If I were to place it gently in your hand like this," he demonstrated by placing the stone in Beauty's hand. "It symbolizes trust and a willingness to connect." Beauty held the stone, turning it over thoughtfully. "It feels significant, even though it is just a stone." "Exactly," Simon said. "Now, if you're comfortable, we could try an actual human touch, like a hand on a shoulder, to convey support." Beauty agreed, and Simon gently placed his hand on her shoulder. "This means, I'm here for you." In our culture, Beauty mirrored the action, her hand light on Simon's shoulder. "I see. It feels very personal." "It is," Alex added. "And it's only done when both people feel comfortable with it." The session continued with more examples of touch, including a handshake, a pat on the back, and finally, a gentle hug. With each step, Beauty became more attuned to the nuances of these gestures. "I'm beginning to understand," she said after they paused for a moment. "These touches, they speak when words are not enough." "Exactly," Simon said, pleased. "And sometimes they speak louder than words." As the morning progressed, they introduced Beauty to simple human art forms that involve touch, such as dance. Alex showed her a video of a ballroom dance. "This dance," Alex explained as dancers moved gracefully on screen, "is a partnership, each person in tune with the other's movements." "Would you teach me?" Beauty asked, a spark of excitement in her voice. "Of course," Alex replied. They stood, and he carefully guided her through the basic steps of a waltz, mindful of her reactions to the close proximity. As they danced, Beauty laughed, a sound of pure joy that echoed softly around the lake. "It's like being part of the music," she exclaimed. "That's a perfect way to put it," Simon remarked, watching them. Dance is another form of expression, combining touch, music, and emotion into one harmonious experience. The lesson ended with Beauty expressing her appreciation for the new insights. "Today has been enlightening. I feel closer to understanding your ways." "We're glad to hear that," Alex said as they packed up to leave. "And we're here to answer any more questions you have as you continue to explore our culture." As they walked back, Simon leaned over to Alex. "She's adapting remarkably well. It's fascinating to see her process everything." "Yes," Alex agreed, "and it's just as fascinating for us. We're not just teaching, we're learning about the universality of emotion and expression. It's a reminder of how similar beings from different worlds can be beneath the surface." The following day, Alex, along with Dr. Eric Foster, a neuroscientist with an interest in the physiological effects of emotions, met Beauty at a serene botanical garden on Gaia 6 to explore the biological responses associated with human touch and emotion. "Good morning, Beauty." Eric greeted her as they approached the designated meeting spot, where Beauty was already waiting, looking contemplative. "Good morning, Eric." "Alex," she replied, her voice calm. "I have been thinking about everything we have discussed and experienced. It's quite profound." Alex smiled, glad to see her engaged and curious. "Today, we thought we'd delve a little deeper into the science of touch and emotion." Eric here is an expert in how our bodies respond to emotions. "That sounds fascinating," Beauty said, clearly eager to learn more. Eric started the session by explaining the basics of human neurology. When we experience touch or emotions, our brain releases chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, which can make us feel happy or connected to someone. Beauty nodded, intrigued. "Is this why touch feels significant, even comforting?" "Exactly," Eric affirmed. "It's part of our evolutionary makeup to connect and bond with others." Would you like to see some simple experiments that demonstrate this? Beauty was enthusiastic. Yes, please. Eric conducted a few safe, non-invasive tests using equipment he had brought along, measuring changes in Alex's heart rate and skin conductance when Alex recalled a particularly happy memory involving physical touch. As you can see, Eric pointed to the readings on the monitor. Alex's body reacts just by remembering a positive touch. Remarkable, Beauty remarked. Do all your people react this way? Generally, yes, Alex replied. It's a common human response. Encouraged by her interest, they moved on to discussing emotional responses more broadly. Alex shared personal stories about how certain touches or interactions made him feel, which helped Beauty understand the emotional context. Does it ever become overwhelming? Beauty asked, her curiosity piquing. It can, Alex admitted, especially with strong emotions like love or grief. But it's also what makes the experience so powerful. Beauty considered this, then looked at both men with a thoughtful expression. Could we try an experiment where I can experience more of this touch? I want to understand the emotional connection. Alex and Eric exchanged a quick look. We can do something simple, Alex suggested cautiously. Maybe a hand-holding exercise. It's a common way to offer comfort or show affection among friends. Beauty agreed, and they each took turns holding her hand, first Alex, then Eric, each explaining how the gesture was often used in human interactions. This is comforting, Beauty said after a moment, her voice soft. I can see why it would evoke strong feelings. Yes, and it's meant to be reassuring, Eric added. It's a way to silently communicate care. The session ended with a deeper discussion about how such physical interactions could be integrated into Gaian culture, considering their unique biological and social frameworks. Your openness to these ideas is very helpful, Alex told Beauty as they prepared to leave the garden. It's important for us to understand your perspectives too. I am grateful for your patience and willingness to share, Beauty responded warmly. Each day I learn something new is a day I grow closer to understanding not just your culture, but the very nature of emotion. As they walked back, Eric whispered to Alex, her capacity to absorb and reflect on these concepts is impressive. It's like she's building bridges with every question she asks. Alex nodded in agreement. And in doing so, she's helping us build a few of our own. It's a unique journey we're on, discovering common ground in such unfamiliar territory. Both men left the meeting contemplative but hopeful, inspired by the progress they were making and the potential for deeper understanding and connection. Late afternoon on HFY 6 brought a gentle breeze and a softening light that draped over the land as Alex and Dr. Peter Thompson, a cultural anthropologist, met Beauty at a tranquil spot by a small waterfall. The sound of cascading water provided a natural privacy that seemed perfect for today's delicate discussions about intimacy. Beauty, we thought today would be a good day to talk about more intimate aspects of human relationships, Peter began, setting a respectful tone for the conversation. Beauty nodded, her expression showing both anticipation and a touch of nervousness. I have been thinking about this. You've shown me how your people express affection and emotion. I'm ready to learn about deeper connections. Alex, sitting beside her, chose his words carefully. Intimacy can be very meaningful. It involves not just physical closeness, but a deep emotional connection. It's about sharing your most private self with someone else. Peter added, it's based on mutual consent, trust, and respect. It's about wanting to be close to someone in every way because you care about them deeply. Beauty looked at them both, her curiosity piqued. Is this why you pair bond? To share this intimacy? That's one of the reasons, yes, Alex replied. It's not just about reproduction, but about sharing life's journey with someone. To help you understand, Peter said, we could show you a human dance that symbolizes intimacy, the tango. It's a dance of passion, but also of cooperation and mutual respect. Alex played a video on his tablet, showing a couple performing the tango. The dancers moved closely, their bodies in sync, expressing a story of connection and mutual understanding through their movements. Beauty watched intently, then turned to them. The dance, it's like a conversation, isn't it? A give and take. Exactly, Alex said. Like the dance, intimacy is a mutual exchange. It requires both partners to be attuned to each other's needs and feelings. Beauty pondered this for a moment, then asked, could I experience a simple form of this dance? To better understand the emotion behind it? If you're sure, Alex said, looking to Peter for a nod of agreement. He stood and offered his hand to Beauty, who took it tentatively. Peter coached gently from the side as they began a basic tango step. The key is to feel the connection through the touch and movement, to communicate without words. As they moved together, Alex led carefully, mindful of Beauty's comfort and reactions. After a few steps, Beauty began to move more confidently, her understanding growing. "I can feel the communication," she said, her voice full of wonder. "It's powerful." When the dance ended, they all sat back down. This type of connection, Peter explained, can be very fulfilling. It creates a bond that is both physical and emotional. Beauty was thoughtful. "It is much more complex and beautiful than I realized. Your ways of connecting are deeply intertwined with emotions." "Yes, they are," Alex agreed. "And they're cherished because they bring us closer to others in a way that nothing else can." As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the water, Beauty thanked them. "Thank you for sharing this with me. I feel I am beginning to understand something very central to your being." "It's our pleasure," Peter responded. "We learn from each encounter, too. Your questions and insights help us see our own culture through new eyes." They parted with Beauty, expressing a newfound appreciation for human emotional depth, and Alex and Peter walked away, discussing the day's success and the bridges being built between their two peoples. The final day of the cultural exchange dawned clear and bright on G6. Alex and Dr. Kevin Patel, a human relations expert, met with Beauty at a peaceful glade where the light filtered through the vibrant foliage in a dazzling display of colors. "Beauty," Kevin began as they settled onto the soft, grassy ground, "today we thought we'd wrap up our sessions by discussing how these insights into human intimacy and emotions might be applied or understood in the context of your own culture." Beauty, ever thoughtful, nodded. "I have learned much from you. I am grateful for the openness and depth of your sharing. Now, I wish to understand how we might bridge our worlds with this new knowledge." Alex, who had been deeply involved in these exchanges, shared his perspective. "One way to start might be through continued dialogue like this. We can set up regular communications between our people to share ideas and experiences." Kevin added, "And perhaps we could organize joint cultural festivals. Events where humans and Gaians can interact in a structured yet informal setting, engaging in activities that highlight both our differences and our similarities." "That sounds wonderful," Beauty said, her face lighting up. "Such events could foster greater understanding and friendship between our peoples." Alex pulled out a tablet and showed Beauty a draft proposal for such an event. "We've started outlining what this could look like. Art exhibitions, dance performances, joint scientific explorations, and more." Beauty looked over the proposal eagerly. "I would like to contribute to this, to share it with my people so they too can understand the value of what we've experienced together." "Absolutely," Kevin agreed. "This has to be a collaborative effort. Your insights will be invaluable in shaping these interactions to ensure they are respectful and beneficial for both sides." As they discussed the practical steps to implement these ideas, the conversation turned back to the personal connections they had formed. Alex expressed his appreciation for Beauty's curiosity and eagerness to understand human culture. "Your questions and reflections have not only helped bridge our worlds, but have also deepened our understanding of our own practices and beliefs," Alex said sincerely. Beauty smiled warmly. "And I have been deeply moved by the emotions and connections I've learned about. It has opened up a new way of seeing for me and hopefully for my people as well." Kevin nodded. "It's a rare opportunity to be part of something like this, the beginning of a new chapter in interstellar relations." As they wrapped up their meeting, they agreed to send the proposal to their respective leaders and to set up a preliminary plan for the first cultural exchange festival. "We'll need to keep the lines of communication open," Kevin mentioned as they packed up their materials. "Regular updates, feedback from both sides, and a willingness to adapt as we learn from each other." "Of course," Beauty agreed. "I look forward to every step of this journey." As they walked back towards their respective communities, the potential of what they had started filled them with a sense of accomplishment and anticipation. The future held promise for deepened understanding and friendship, a testament to the power of openness and curiosity in forging new paths. Alex and Kevin continued their conversation about the next steps, energized by the work ahead and the partnership that had been formed under the twin suns of Gaia 6. They walked back with a sense of purpose, ready to embark on this new venture that went beyond the stars.